I tell parents, I say, listen, don't ever say I want to give my children what I didn't have. No, I want to give them what I didn't have on the inside to propel me. Because a lot of people think the important thing is to leave something for your children. It's not what you leave for your children, it's what you leave in them. Because what you leave in them cannot be sustained if what you leave in them is not capable. If you leave the right things in them, their own ambition will propel them to the end.
People, kids, some of us were lucky to come here at age 20, in our 20s. So we came with it worked for and against us because you came with preconceived ideas, and then at the same time you came with that baggage of what you were raised with. So you came, and some of it still kind of retarded your progress a little bit, as opposed to those kids who are born here. So the diaspora born kids and those who come from Africa, whatever country, Cameroon, wherever. Talk to those two groups of people, or kind of talk about those two groups of people and how the dream, building, how different it is for them.
And that's a good one. And before I step to talk to them, I just want to take us a step back in terms of generational wealth. Now, a lot of times, I think when people hear about generational wealth, they only think about money. Generational wealth, yes, money is involved. It's important, financial capability, but there are a lot of other things too, right? I know, for example, I know families. I have a friend, very close friend, whose dad was a lawyer, one of the smartest ones, studied at the top law school from Oxford University. He was a professor of the university in Cameroon. And when he passed, he necessarily didn't have a lot of financial resources, but he left some of the most valuable books on earth when it comes to law and life and things like that. That is wealth. Now, thinking also about posterity, about doing things, right? Because when I look at other communities, and one of the reasons why they are very, very advanced is because they think not only of themselves and now, they think about tomorrow. Recently, we just heard of the passing of one of the greatest political figures in our country. Great man, a father to all of us, right? To most of us. I mean, a very, very hardworking man, yes. And I was just watching a documentary my friend Alene Menge did on him in 2011, I believe. No, 2003 and 12, because it's 11 years old. He was 71 then, and he died at 81. So it's 10 years ago. So 2003, right? No, 2013, sorry. And he was on his farm in Womb. That's a huge farm in Womb, right? And he said, one of the things he said when Alene was interviewing him, he said something very powerful. He said he's doing something now that he knows for a fact he's never going to benefit from it. But he knows that generations to come will benefit. That he had planted 60,000 trees, Bobinga, Blackwood, name some of the top wood that is in demand in the world. He's planted 60,000 of them. That is wealth. That is generational wealth. If the children or the people who are in charge of his estate, right? Each time they take one out, they plant another one. It will exist for another 1,000 years, right? So it's a mindset thing. It's about thinking not only about our now, but about our tomorrow. So coming to talk about,
let's share.
Yes.
Let's stop and share the
Oh, the
real
video.
quick. Yes.
Okay.
Let's stop and share it.
Absolutely.
I know we've gone into it for quite a little bit, but
hey, listen here, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate you stopping by the channel. Every time you stop by the channel to watch my content, it fills me with a lot of motivation to continue to find the best information to provide you. While you're on the channel, I also want to let you know that over 80% of people who watch my channel have not subscribed yet to the channel. Why don't you do me this favor? Go ahead and hit the subscription key and also hit the notification bell. That way, anytime I have new content, you'll be able to be the first one to get it. One of the things that we struggle with as a people is because we come from societies, we come from environments of lack. We come from environments where there's always the sense of there is not enough, and we come to scarcity, right? And we come to a place where there is abundance, but our minds is still trapped to that fear. You understand what I'm trying to say? I remember one of the first times when we got into America, I went into a restaurant to eat, and it was a buffet in Minnesota. I forget how they call that buffet. It's a popular buffet.
China
No,
King
not
was
not
not
the
the
China
another
buffet,
one.
the American buffet. Yes, right. We went there to eat, and I saw this brother, this African brother, right. And this is no disrespect to
Yeah.
anybody, right? It's just part of growing up and
Yeah.
experiencing life. And I saw him. He went to the buffet table and loaded his plate this high. And it occurred to me that he doesn't realize that he could go 10 times, right?
And not
And
have to pile it up.
there's enough.
But
Okay,
you know, they got
don't
to a
be.
point where they'll stop putting the plates out, right? When they notice that, they stop putting
Well,
the plates out.
don't be. There's more than enough for
Yeah.
everybody. You can go
Yeah.
again, right? So I'm saying that mindset is something that also affects us, and we have to be conscious and work against it,
Yeah.
right? Information sharing, we just shared the link now. A lot of people are watching us online right
Yeah.
now, and I know you know this information is valuable.
Yes.
Share it with your friends,
Yeah.
share it with your family,
Yeah.
get them to subscribe to our channel so they can get
Yeah.
more content, right? It
Yes.
doesn't hurt, it only gets more people doing it, and the more the merrier, the more is stronger the community
Yeah.
we have, right? So talking now to young Africans coming from out of Africa into the US or born here, it's important to understand that those who are coming from out of Africa into America generally are hungrier.
Yes.
When I say are hungrier, it's because they've experienced a few different challenges in life that typical children born in America haven't experienced. That is one of the reasons I always tell parents when we have chats at barbecues. I tell parents, I say, listen, don't ever say, I want to give my children what I didn't have. No, I want to give them what I didn't have on the inside to propel me. That is powerful. And I'll explain to you why. Because a lot of people think the important thing is to leave something for your children. It's not what you leave for your
What you
children,
teach them
it's what you leave in
in
them.
them.
Because what you leave in them cannot be sustained
Yes.
if what
Yes.
you leave in them is not capable.
That's amazing.
If
Yeah.
you leave the right things in
Yeah.
them, their own ambition will propel them to the
I have
end.
to go back and watch this video later because
I,
there are some nuggets here that,
and this is
yes.
real life, Sagi, and I put
Yes.
it in practice.
Yes.
I tell my three girls, I said, listen, daughters, I love you very much. You know that, right? But I'm sorry. You know, I cannot trade my retirement for your education. You study hard, you will get a scholarship. If you don't study hard enough to get a scholarship, you can work and go to school. If you can't work and go to school, then you take a loan. And the reason why I want that, and I don't tell them, but I tell myself, it's because it is important for our children to experience difficulty. Difficulty is what defines your success. Difficulty is what propels you. Difficulty is what generates ambition. If you give them everything, why would they be hungry? I remember the gentleman Will Smith acted the movie after him, In Pursuit of Happiness. That's a real life story.
Yeah.
Exactly. He went into an interview on Wall Street without clothes. He was sleeping in a homeless shelter, right? And he was on one of these programs, and he said something amazing. He said one of the most eye-popping things that happened to him one day was coming back from work. His teenage kids, his son and his daughter, were in the living room arguing, and they didn't know that he had come in. That he walked in, and you know what they were arguing? When Papa dies, who is going to inherit the Lamborghini? And he said he went immediately and changed his will.
Yep.
Are we together?
Yes.
What we don't realize is that the reason why our generation might be relatively successful in America is because of what we never got for free when we were growing up. Are we together?
Yes.
It's because of the struggles. It's because of the fact that you have two pairs of shoes as a pastor's daughter. You will manage those shoes for a long time. And today for Christmas, we buy our children 10 pairs of shoes.
No.
And we
Actually,
get angry that they don't respect it.
oh
Why
no.
should they respect it?
Oh, trust me, I got out of that 6 years ago where my kids know Christmas first is
Good.
mommy's birthday and
Okay.
Jesus Christ's
Awesome.
birthday.
Awesome. Awesome.
Then
Right.
secondly, they pick just one thing.
Okay. That's good.
I don't do the under the tree, too many. No, I don't do that.
Awesome.
So I got out of that. So even my 9-year-old knows they're not
Exactly.
expecting a flood of
Now,
gifts. Yeah.
because, and the reason why it's important, Sagi, is because it doesn't matter how much you give a human being. If that person doesn't have the skill and the mindset to conserve, manage, and multiply within 2 generations, the wealth is over. Are we together here?
Yes.
I don't know if it makes sense.
You are. I
Listen,
mean,
people
I'm lost
forget.
for words.
People
Yeah.
forget that Mike
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Tyson made $400 million in 12 years and blew it all in 12 years. People forget. I don't know if it makes sense. What that means. Mike Tyson is back again. He's starting to make money again in his 60s, and he'll be more successful because he's ready now
Yes.
to handle that kind of success. Right?
Yes.
So to me, the children who are born in America, parents have to pay specific attention to teach them how to find hunger within
Yes.
themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I tell my wife every day, I say there are only 3 things I want us to leave for our children. Number one, the spirit of fear of God. Number two, the love for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And number three, personal hunger to pursue your dreams and make sure those dreams can impact humanity. If those 3 things are in place, we don't need to leave them no dime. How many of immigrant people in America came to America with something given to them? I got here to the airport when Presbyterian Homes brought us, they gave us $300. That's a privilege. Many people don't
I
have that privilege.
my story. I came with a check that I kept that 500. I remember I got a
Yes.
$500 check. Somebody wrote the
Okay.
check. Didn't know how to
To
cash the
cash a
check.
check.
I kept that check for
And it
six
expired.
months. 6 months.
Okay, look at
Until
that.
they.
Look at that,
That's
right?
what I came to this country
Right?
with.
A
Five hundred
lot of
dollars.
people come into America
Yeah.
with nothing in
Yeah.
their pockets, but they're
Yeah.
able to build a life,
Yeah.
build a family, end up living great,
Yeah.
the legacies to their children and
Yeah.
things like that, right? So they say great times develop weak men. Weak men cause hard times, and hard times develop strong people,
Say
and
that
strong
again.
people
Say
make
it
great
again.
times.
Please
I
say it
say
again.
great times, prosperous times create weak men,
Mhm.
and weak men eventually create hard times, and hard times eventually create strong men, and strong men eventually create good time. And men in this case is both
Yeah,
sexes,
but
okay?
yeah.
Exactly, right? So I am saying one of the things I advocate for very strongly, especially to immigrant parents, African immigrant parents, because there is no question, African immigrant parents, we have the tendency to be very emotional. We have the tendency to feel like our upbringing was suffering. It wasn't suffering, it was preparation. Do I make sense?
Yes.
We have the tendency to think like the way we were brought up because my dad worked for the PWD. We didn't have enough. We were sleeping 4 on the bed. Mommy was a farmer. It's suffering. No, it wasn't. It was preparing you for resilience. Work is hard, Sagi.
Yeah.
You just came from work and you're coming
Yep.
into this. I just drove from Austin. I'm coming. I'm going back. I'm working the whole night writing scripts. Toride is going to be here editing videos the whole night. Work is hard. If you don't have the tenacity, you don't have the determination, you don't have the spirit of work, you will not be able to work. I don't care the kind of work it is. So a lot of times, African immigrants don't give themselves credit for that tenacity. They don't give their upbringing credit because we come to America with this luxury life sitting around us and we think that is the perfect life. That is not it. Do everything in your power to create in your children the ability to be hungry, to be ambitious, to have something that drives them, to have something that makes them want to achieve. If there is nothing that drives them, I can guarantee you your best bet is to create maybe a trust fund and put a limit on it for them to spend only 10% a year so that way the
Yep.
money will never out the money can
Yep.
outlive them.
Oh yeah.
If not, you're wasting your time.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm saying so in
Yeah.
all honesty,
Yeah.
right?
It's true.
Now, for the children coming from out of Africa into America, they have a slight advantage because they've experienced things that our children here haven't experienced. But one of the things that is needed, they need to be renting, they need to be guided because they're also young and they're coming with excitement of how America, you can just come in and you get out of the airport, you shake Will Smith's
I
hand,
know,
right?
right?
You know, you look left, you see Michael Jackson's house, right? If you go down the street, you and Michael Jordan will be having a drink in a
Together.
bar.
Yeah.
Isn't that what all of us
Yeah.
thought when we were in our teenage age in Cameroon?
Good
When you
luck.
look at Ebony magazine, you go, wow.
Look at
Is it
Halle
how all
Berry.
houses are in America? Boy, my neighbor's house I'll be visiting.
Yeah.
And then you come to America, your family picks you, takes you to a 2-bedroom apartment. Maybe it's a Section 8 apartment, and then the reality starts
You're
hitting
like,
you, right?
are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me, right? But now, one of the things we as African immigrants, especially of this generation, have to do, we have to be open, transparent, and honest with our children. Don't try to create an impression of what is not. Are
Mhm.
we together?
Mhm.
Give them something to want to dream and drive for. Explain to them the process. Expose them to information that teaches them how people grow from humble beginnings to the top, so that they learn that there is no speed in this game.
Yes.
People forget that Mark Zuckerberg in his 30 who created Facebook is an exception, it's not the norm. So I
Mhm.
don't like to quote him. It's not everyday stuff. I don't like to quote the owners of Google because it's
Mhm.
not everyday stuff. So let
Mhm.
nobody sit there and be deceiving themselves that if I just go quick, I might be in
No.
my 30s. And no,
No.
no, no, no. But if you follow the process, if you learn, if you go after knowledge first, if you expose yourself to activities that trains your mind, trains your being, give you a skill,
Yeah.
you will certainly get there faster than us. The
Yeah.
reason why is because you have time. Today, people are complaining about the economic challenges that America is
Mhm.
going through. You know what millionaires and wannabe millionaires are thinking? Opportunity, opportunity, opportunity.
Mhm.
Apple stock dropped by 50%. Now,
Mhm.
if you had some savings in your account, this is the time to buy Apple because you know that in 5 years it's going to be triple that amount of money.
You're still back to your
You
stock,
you are back
to,
and
to your Wall Street.
200% more. Are we together?
Yes.
This is the time, right?
Yeah.
Real estate is
Yeah.
dropping. Houses are being auctioned. People are going to start foreclosing homes soon by the end of
Yeah.
this year. Are you ready to pounce on those opportunities? Can you pick 10 of your friends and say, guys, let's bring 10,000? That's 100,000. Let's go to a realtor like my friend Agent Dan, who was here last week, right? And say, Agent Dan, help us, bro. Create some syndication. Let's go out and buy an apartment complex and see what we can start doing. So that in 10 years, that apartment is worth 2 million from 100,000 today. Are we thinking like that?
Mm.
Are we seeing opportunity in pain? Are we seeing brightness
Mm.
in darkness? Because the darkest hours are hours before dawn, right?
Yes.
So when it comes to our children, we must look at our experiences as a
Mhm.
positive
Yeah.
and not a negative. Of course, there
Yeah.
are experiences you want to avoid your children from going through.
Yes.
But I
Mhm.
am totally saying, don't make it easy for them.
Yeah.
Let them own it. Let
Mhm.
them own the responsibility. My daughters know that. Nothing pisses me off than I ask you, where is this? That is your personal stuff, and you tell
Yeah.
me, Daddy, I can't
Can't
find it.
find it.
Oh my God. That is your
Yeah.
stuff. You
Yeah. You
have
have
to
to know
know
where it
where
is.
it is.
When we're done here, can we go to my
Oh,
house so you can go talk to some
yeah.
people?
Right? That is how we force them to get
Yeah.
responsibility. It's a work
Yeah.
in progress. But I'm just saying these are the mindsets, these are the kinds of thinking
Yeah.
that is going to change
Yeah.
our children
Yeah.
for the better, right? For the long haul. Also, exposing them
Mhm.
to opportunities where they can learn and see different things.
Yeah.
I understand it's important for us to work, right? It's important for us to also make sure we are bringing in revenue. But it's also important to look at certain kinds of expenses as an
Mhm.
investment.
Mhm.
Traveling with your
Yes.
children is an
Mhm.
investment.
That's a
It's
big
not an
deal.
expense.
Yes.
I
Mhm.
don't know
Yeah.
if I'm making sense,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Exposing your children to certain courses and
Yeah.
programs,
Yeah.
which might be a little bit expensive,
But worth
is
it.
it's
Yeah.
it's an investment. Let me tell you something. What happened, Sagi? About 4 months ago, I registered my daughter for piano. My last girl, she's 11 years old. And so every Thursday, I will take her to the piano lessons, and I'll go sit out from 7 p.m. to 7:30. She'll play a piano, and she leaves at 7:30. At 7:30, this Indian guy comes in with his son, and they will do his son's practice. And about 3 weeks ago, I got there, and the Indian guy comes in. His son has his set of books. He has his own set of books. I say, "What's going on, Arjun?" Arjun says, "Gustav, I realize I've been stupid. I bring my boy here, he comes practice for 30 minutes. I sit and wait for him. Why don't I just practice too for 30 minutes? After that way we spend an hour and we go home." Do you know I took my first piano lessons yesterday?
Are you
I'm
serious?
not kidding you because I realized
Yeah.
that it's an investment.
In yourself.
It cost me $100 a month, $25 a session, 220 for me and my
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah.
It's an
And it's
investment
something you're doing with,
with
you're
my
building
girl. I'm
memories.
building
Yeah.
memories.
Yeah.
I'm teaching her
Yeah.
discipline. I'm there to motivate her while she's encouraging me. I came back home from classes. I started trying it. She said, "Daddy, that finger is wrong. Relax. Think,
Yeah.
think
See.
like that. Think like that. That's how the finger
And
works,
she
right?"
think if she's competitive, she'll want to
Exactly.
show you now
We
that
are going.
I'm
We're
doing
already
well.
planning on doing a recital together in the next 4 months, right?
That's awesome.
If she practices for another 2 years, I would have taken 2 years of piano classes. I don't know if I make sense,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I could look at that time like maybe I could use that time to be writing a script or thinking or writing a recording a video. No, there's a time for that,
Yes.
and there's a time to
Yes.
invest in building
Yeah.
that hunger in
Yeah.
them.
And we didn't get it. We didn't get. We got, our parents did their best.
Of
We're
course,
not
they
we're
did.
not putting them down, right? So an
You only
example
do
is,
what you
yes,
know,
you they did
Sagi.
they
They
did
did
what
what
they,
they
yeah,
know.
what they knew,
They sent
because
some of us
yeah,
to boarding
yeah,
schools.
yeah,
PSS is an elite school.
yeah,
Be very careful.
yes, yes,
PSS is an elite school.
yes,
Anywhere in the world,
yeah,
boarding school is
yeah,
an elite school.
mhm,
These people trained us the best they
yeah,
could. And it's usually said, do the best with what
yeah,
you have at the time you have.
mhm,
And then when you know better, do
yes,
better.
exactly.